Greetings in such disaster. Cat here at the Days of the Dead, Chicago, with Garrett Zima.
Hey.
How you doing, Garrett?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Very excited to be here. Excited at all the vendors and, of course, Alex Vincent.
He's way over there. Yeah.
Chris Lee Swanson, Billy Zane, all sorts of cool, creepy people. So, you're the man responsible for bringing all the fans the beautiful good guy dolls that are now available for people.
Yeah.
It's not just a dream for us to stare at the movie and be like, why isn't it real? It is real.
Well, I ran into the folks at Trick or Treat Studios, Chris Zeffro, Justin Avery, and they're a company that really focuses on making quality replicas on a budget, in a sense, our licensed replica. So I worked with them. I think it'll be about almost 4 years now I've been with them, and the Good Guy doll is one of their big sellers. It's crazy. We just had, right now, like, the factories are kind of being slow with everything going on, but we sold out, I think, in 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
We sold out our last run. I think we've done 5 or 6 runs with the factory so far, so it's really cool, like, that the fans want them, and I see a lot of people doing, like, customizations to them, which is great, because they are made on the cheap, because they're mass produced, but I love that what people are doing with them.
Yeah. The custom like eye blinking and the voice activated.
I've seen there's a guy, his name's Chris, and he does 3D printed IMAX, and they look really good. They fit in the Trick or Treat doll.
So you're a sculptor, right?
No, well, I do sculpting and stuff, but these are the dolls are from the original faces from the early Child's Play films, and that's only the way to do it. Really, is to get it perfect, is to get the original prop and then work with that. A lot of times when I get these props, they're old, they have pitting, distortion, and so I have to take them and make them better again, so that we have a good example to work with for the mass-produced Good Guy doll and stuff like that. But I do sculpting, I do different work like that, but in order to get the Good Guy doll worth it, we had to get the original props to work with them. So.
The authenticity, and that's why it looks so great, too.
Yeah, that's it looked like almost perfect, really.
Yeah. So. How painstaking of a process was it for you to go in there and patch up the little nicks and knacks and
Well, it's a lot of
repair?
automotive bondo. You make a junk casting in a sense, and you try to smooth everything out. And sometimes it can take multiple molds to get it smooth. Because I like to get it where it was in the film, where it was almost glass smooth. And these pieces gotten old and faded and pitted, and so you're trying to bring it back to have a really good look. So that's what is always like the struggle, is like I had to throw away so many molds trying to get the right casting that looked perfect, and we did that with the Good Guy doll, and then now the Child's Play 2, we call it Neutral Head or something like that.
There's the new one coming out.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. I can't say anything.
Okay, we won't go there.
But
we know nothing about Neutral
You never
Head.
know. I'm offering replicas for my handmade versions, but I don't know if the.
Where
look
can we
real.
purchase your handmade?
I have an Instagram account. You can contact me there.
Enter here.
At Garrett Zima.
Yeah.
And I make handmade ones. They're kind of expensive, but they're real.
They look
take
amazing.
a long
They-
time
Yeah.
to make.
Authentic.
They look a lot better than you can tell the difference between the mass-produced ones, which do look great.
Oh,
but
yeah,
Your custom
yeah.
ones, you can tell you have a very keen eye for the detail.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to you're individually hand painting each one, where in a factory it's sort of an automated system, and sometimes there's flaws to that, but I mean they look pretty darn good. I always tell people $500 for a retail for a Good Guy doll. I think it costs me over $500 in materials just for me to make one, not including my time and labor. So when these mass-produced ones came out, I was like, great, now the fans can have something, where it looks pretty good. I mean, you have a real corduroy overall. That's always the most expensive part to make.
Corduroy?
Yeah, getting it custom dyed.
How do you-
right blue.
Corduroy.
How do you do the imprints for the little
That's
signs?
silk screen. So
Silk
it's
screen.
kind of like how you would do like this. Well, I don't know if this is a heat press, but it's a heat press or a silk screen. I think the trick or treat ones are heat pressed, but the ones I have are silk screen, which is a little more accurate.
durable, too.
It's all the colors layered out and then it's heated up, which is just so tedious because when you work with corduroy, it can get stained very easily.
Yeah, I
So
can see
like
that.
the whole frustration of like trying to get it right, and then the fabrics are not working with you, and then the sweaters are all textile knit, and I had a bunch of sweaters made in Peru in a factory where they had a textile machine, because it's not necessarily a knitted sweater, it's a textile knit. So it's kind of how like, our shirts are made up of different threads to make up the shirt. Well, in a sense, his sweater is done that way, but it's a little more of a thicker thread, but not a like Christmas sweater thread. So it's not like a
that's
Freddy
too
Krueger
thick.
sweater.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So you have to
It's
do
a good
that.
description.
Yeah, it's a machine process. So it was really surprising when I was working with Trick or Treat. I thought we would have to use like printed fabrics, and it turned out we were able to, make them perfect. And I sent them a lot of original screen used pieces, like wardrobe, to match. So that was the cool thing about having all this stuff.
Is this one of your masterpieces left here?
I don't know. I think someone made that one. I don't know.
Can we get a glimpse of your good guy down real quick? Oh, that's beautiful.
There you go. Yeah.
Customized.
That looks pretty cool.
Did you have the Trick or Treat studio one customized, or is this from scratch?
The sweater looks like it came from me. I don't know. Is it? Okay. The sweater, that's one of our ones we had made in Peru. And we had to have some of those threads custom dyed because they didn't have them. So you had to try to, which costs always extra, but it was to make it look so good,
Beautiful work,
But yeah.
So when you create one completely from scratch, you've expressed how painstaking it can be with getting the fabrics correct and in the printing. How long of a process does it usually take you?
It can sometimes take like a week, maybe 2 weeks. It just depends. Everything has to perfectly align, where I think like sometimes a big problem is when you're clear coating your doll with that, that protectant coating.
Shellac or
All of a
whatever it is.
sudden, a piece of dust from
Oh,
your workshop
no.
will fall on it. And then I have to resand and oh my God, you wouldn't believe it. I'd be like so done, almost done finishing someone's doll, and then all of a sudden I can't send it out like that.
You must be completely zen.
Well, it takes a lot of patience.
Wow,
Yeah.
I'm sure people would not even. None of this occurred to me of how painstaking of a process it sounds like.
Right.
Lots of love into it.
It used to be harder for me to do it because I had I didn't have it was called a rotocasting machine. Rotocasting machine rotates your molds for you so that you get a perfect even thickness. So it's still a hollow head, but it's thick.
Even all the way through the whole head.
Yeah, and I used to do it by hand. So I had a friend
shoot.
of mine. I would pay him in pizza. I mean, him would just take turns. Like, okay, now you rotate it. I'll rotate it. So then we had to do that, and then I bought a rotocaster, which was the best investment ever. And you just turn it on, and it rotates your molds, and you get a better part. So the types of parts that I am able to produce are a lot better quality with the rotocaster. And I've gotten better at mold making. This whole Chucky thing's been a learning process because I went from just watching YouTube videos to see I think that's how they do it, and then learning things from that, and then trying to do my own thing with it. And it's all YouTube. Thanks to YouTube.
Wow.
You don't need college if you have YouTube. You learn everything.
I didn't
on
go
there.
to college. I don't know. I was gonna be a wedding photographer.
Oh,
and I thought that was gonna work.
ditto. High five to almost being a funny photographer.
And I did it. I was successful at it, but I was just so sick of
It's boring.
brides. What do you call them? Crazy brides.
Oh, the
and all
drama.
that.
Bridezilla.
Bridezilla, yeah. And I just was like done with this. And luckily the other
Weddings,
stuff took off.
Chucky.
Right.
Pretty good.
And I run a haunted house now too, and it kind of comes down to like.
Down where at?
It's in Mishicot, Wisconsin.
Okay.
It's near Manitowoc County. But yeah, like
Very
it's getting.
cool.
it gets to a point where like, what should I be doing with my life? Making more Chucky dolls, or should I be doing my haunted house? I love the haunted house. It's like my first thing, but Chucky pays the bills. So
Yeah. Plus it's fun.
Sounds like a good balance. Chucky
Yeah.
and haunted house.
Yeah.
You're sort of living a dream compared to most people.
Yeah, we had I have the screen used Chucky doll from Child's Play 2 at Alex's booth this weekend, but we had that displayed at the haunted house, and I didn't know if people would really know what it was, but a lot of people surprisingly were like, wow, this is
Instantly
amazing,
recognized.
getting selfies. So it was really cool to see that. So yeah.
Hey, did you have to do any work to that Chucky doll over there, or was it
This
pretty
one?
much? No, the one
The
that
one that we
was
saw,
by
the one
Alex's.
that was-
Alex.
So that was part of a restoration. So polyurethane rubber turns brown over
Oh.
the years. Yeah, there's an interview with Kevin Yeager, and one of his good guy dolls, you could tell it's pretty tan, not as brown as mine. I think the person that last owned it had it like near a window, and the UV darkens it. It
The
gives it a
sunlight,
tan.
man, it's killing it.
And so we did I did an acrylic restoration to it where we did it's a type of airbrush paint that it adheres to it well, but if we ever wanted to, we could remove it. You know, it stays on there pretty well, but
Okay.
for some reason one day I'm like, you know what, I want it brown again, because you can see the original paint job underneath it.
Okay, so it's sort of
kinda
like
cool.
peel off, or
It would probably come off with even like some warm water if you really had some pressure and stuff like that. So it's totally reversible. But I wanted it to be more displayable.
Yeah.
Because people would be like, what?
See it how you remember it in the film.
I don't. Yeah, they want to see
Yeah.
it. You know how it was in the movie.
Exactly,
So that's why I
yeah.
wanted it to get it all, and I made a big stand for it. There's like aluminum running alongside the arms with different zip ties, so it's not like damaging it. It's just like holding it in place, so that's not. Because the problem
Wobbling
is,
around like a rag doll.
yeah, it's like pretty much a rag doll. So it's kind of like, you know, the problem I was having with it is when you're trying to, you know, store it away or whatever, it would get kind of scoffed up, or so I had to make some sort of stand for it, and that's what it's on today. Is
It looked great.
yeah, it wasn't that bad.
I totally
Menards
recognized it.
materials, it worked.
Well, when did your obsession with Chucky begin?
You know, I like Freddy Krueger first, and then I always liked the Chucky doll. I had like a Spencer's doll, one of the
Did you have the
$30 ones.
Did you have the one with the acid wash jeans, or the ones that had the prints on it with the more screen accurate version?
I'm not sure. No, I had like the older one, and then I would just like.
Was it
No, I didn't have that one.
So the 1996
No.
one then?
I think when Spencer started making them for a bride as a promotional thing, I got one for Easter. My parents, that was in my Easter basket. That's what I wanted.
That's beautiful.
I didn't
That's
want
the best
anything.
Easter gift you can think of.
So
Thank
I had
you, Easter
that.
money.
And I'm always like a tinker kind of guy, so I was trying to manipulate it to look more accurate to the film, or as I remembered it. And yeah, it's so weird. I kind of had that, and then for years I didn't do anything with Chucky, and then I ran into a guy at a art gallery. His name was Steve Bowles. He worked on Child's
No relation to
Bowles.
Don
Don Bowles. Yeah.
And
the germs.
he worked on Child's Play 2, a couple of the Nightmare films. I think he worked on Child's Play 3 as well. He worked for a company called Image Engineering. And so they like kind of came in and made a lot of the conveyor belt stuff for the factory scene.
That scene is so great. Everybody just want to run into the toy factory and
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah, it was, I mean, they built all that in a big factory somewhere, and you know, it didn't make any sense, but it looked cool. But it was he had a lot of stuff from that film, and then he like hooked me up with some things, and then I wanted to start making a replica Good Guy doll, and found that it's hard to do so, and so I was able to acquire some of the original props to get, you know, good reference and to design.
and
You know, bring
voila.
it back, yeah, and it's been great. You know, everyone's
Excellent.
loving the doll. We sold so many Good Guy dolls,
Yeah.
and people are happy with them.
If I could allow myself less restraint, I'd probably own like an entire house just full of the
This
good
is
guy
true.
dolls.
Yeah.
There
I should
was-
show you my collection actually.
People, I mean, in Japan, seem to really be like obsessed with Chucky, and I was following someone on Instagram where they had they had bought maybe like 20 or 30 good guy dolls, and they had a mock-up in like a room
Wow.
of all the trick-or-treat dolls. It was like, wow. So
Yeah,
there's some
yeah.
people that are really
Yeah,
into it.
yeah.
Some
It's
are
It's a
crazy.
lifestyle.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
I've seen a lot like for on eBay and other places from Japan that are like thousands and like probably about over $10,000 on some
Oh
of them.
yeah, sometimes those
50,000.
replicas. Yeah, for a while the replicas are really expensive, and then working with Trick or Treat, we were able to get it kind of like have the market
Figure it out more tangible.
and then it's licensed too, which is cool. It's people like to collect licensed memorabilia, and this way you can actually have a real doll from Universal, and so it's pretty cool.
It's more unique. What was your customizations back when you had the Spencer kits? I'm just curious because I did the
think
same thing, to be
I
honest.
would repaint him, and I don't know why, but his head was off at some points, and because his head got ripped off, and then I would make it spin around. I don't know. Like I was just weird. I was a weird kid, I was just.
No. It's all good. It's all good.
I had the same doll, and the first thing I did to customize him was I just sewed little fake finger lines in him.
Oh, okay.
And then I made the overalls from scratch, and I hand drew all the little like hammers and cowboy hats and
Oh
shit.
yeah, to make it more accurate that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they've been making that doll, I think, since 1998.
96.
Is it 96?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Because that's like, they're still making. Well, I think they just updated. I think they just Spencer's. We're talking about the Stitch Spencer.
Oh, that one.
Yep.
Okay. I had one before that. That is 98.
Yeah, I think they made those as like a promotional item, and then Seed came out, and they came out with Glad and all that. But then they were making those for like the longest time, for like well over 10 years.
Oh yeah, they
And
still. Yeah, they just this
they
year.
just re-updated it now, which looks decent,
It looks better in some ways and worse in others for some
Yeah,
reason.
I think it looks better than what they had,
Yeah.
so that's cool.
I'm so attached to the original one. I still have the one I got when that came out, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
something about it. But thank you
Wow.
for tuning in, sharing with us all the details.
Problem.
nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching Ghouls and Boils in TV Land. Garrett Zima there.
I'm grass with my knife each night. I feel alright creeping solo with my white tip, my